Welcome to Hot Drama TV.
What if I told you that a single haircut could quietly change the way millions of people see a man?
No dramática, no un cement.
No bold statement. Just a pair of scissors, and suddenly the internet stops scrolling. Today we're talking about Liu Yuning. And the moment his short hair didn't just change his look, but unexpectedly elevated his entire visual presence. This is not just a story about hair. This is a story about transformation, perception, and how sometimes the smallest change speaks the loudest. For a long time, Liu Yuning existed in a very specific visual frame. Tall, gentle, often associated with long hair, historical dramas, and a slightly melancholic aura. He wasn't loud with his visuals. He didn't try to dominate the screen with sharp angles or flashy styling. Instead, his image leaned toward softness, restraint, and emotional depth. Fans were comfortable with that version of him. The audience thought they knew what suited Liu Yuning. And that's exactly why. No one saw this coming. There was no grand reveal. No countdown. No press release screaming new image. Just photos. Just clips. Just Liu Yuning with short hair. And suddenly something shifted. People paused. Comment sections exploded. Fans stared a little longer than usual. Because this wasn't just shorter hair. This was structure. This was sharpness. This was a quiet confidence that felt unfamiliar. In East Asian pop culture, hair is never just hair. Short hair often symbolizes maturity, masculinity, control, a sense of grounded confidence. For Liu Yuning, this change stripped away the softness people were used to and revealed something deeper underneath. His facial features suddenly stood out more clearly. His jawline looked firmer. His gaze felt more direct. He didn't look younger. He looked stronger. And that's where the phrase unexpected visual upgrade truly begins to make sense. The internet loves beauty, but it loves surprise even more. No one doubted that Liu Yuning was attractive, but no one expected him to look this good with short hair. The surprise wasn't just visual, it was psychological. Viewers were forced to reassess him, not as the gentle guy, the soft-spoken type, the emotional role specialist, but as a man who could carry modern styling, sharper roles, a more commanding screen presence. This wasn't reinvention. This was revelation. The phrase visual upgrade didn't come from critics or fashion experts. It came from fans. And that matters. Fan language is emotional, instinctive, and honest. When fans say someone's visual has leveled up, they mean, I can't look away. This hits differently. I didn't know he had this side. Entertainment media simply picked it up and amplified it. Because once fans feel it, the story writes itself. What's fascinating is how subtle this transformation was. Liu Yuning didn't change who he is. He didn't force a new persona. He didn't abandon his past image. He just refined it. The short hair made him look more present, more modern, more grounded in reality. To bridge the gap between the historical drama actor and the contemporary male star. This is the kind of change that doesn't scream for attention, but earns it. From a visual storytelling perspective, short hair does something powerful. It removes distraction. There's no movement hiding emotion.
No softness masking intensity.
Every glance becomes clearer. Every expression feels closer. On camera, Liu Yuning now feels more intimate, more confident, more emotionally readable. And for audiences, that creates connection. You don't just see him. You feel him. This moment isn't really about trends. It's about timing. This haircut appeared at a stage where Liu Yuning's career is evolving, where his experience has deepened, where his presence feels more assured. The short hair doesn't say, look at me. It says, I know who I am. And that quiet certainty is incredibly attractive. In an industry obsessed with constant reinvention, Liu Yuning proves something different. Sometimes growth isn't loud. Sometimes evolution is subtle. Sometimes confidence is shown, not announced. This visual upgrade works because it feels earned. It aligns with who he is becoming, not who the audience wants him to pretend to be. And perhaps that is why this moment feels so memorable. Because in a world where celebrities are constantly trying to prove something, Liu Yuning doesn't look like someone who is trying at all. He looks like someone who has finally arrived at a point where effort no longer needs to be visible. The short hair doesn't demand attention. It earns it. It doesn't ask for approval. It quietly receives it. There is a certain calm authority in the way he carries himself now. Not dominance, not arrogance, but assurance. The kind that comes from experience rather than ambition. The kind that tells you this is a man who has lived through uncertainty, criticism, doubt, and come out more grounded on the other side. When fans look at him today, many can't quite explain what feels different. They just know that something has shifted. His silence feels heavier. His stillness feels intentional. Even when he says nothing, the screen feels full. That's the power of presence. Short hair in this case acts almost like a lens, sharpening everything beneath it. His eyes seem steadier. His expressions more controlled. His emotions more contained yet deeper. It's no longer softness alone that defines him, but balance. Strength paired with restraint. Confidence paired with humility. And that balance is rare. This is also why the reaction hasn't faded quickly. Usually, viral visual moments burn bright and disappear just as fast. But this one lingers. People keep revisiting the photos, the clips, the performances. They keep rewatching, reevaluating, rethinking their first impression. Because the more you look, the more you realize this wasn't a sudden change. It was a gradual evolution that finally became visible. Liu Yuning didn't wake up one day transformed. He grew into this version quietly, step by step, roll by roll, year by year. The haircut simply removed the final layer that kept that growth from being fully seen. In many ways, this moment reflects something deeply human. We often underestimate subtle changes. We overlook quiet progress. And then one day we look again and realize how far someone has come. That realization creates respect. Not the loud admiration that fades overnight, but a steady appreciation that deepens over time. And perhaps that's why this image feels meaningful beyond aesthetics. It's not just about looking better. It's about looking right. Right for who he is now. Right for the stage he's standing on. Right for the story he's continuing to tell. As viewers, we're not just witnessing a new hairstyle. We're witnessing alignment between image and identity, between past and present, between expectation and reality. And alignment is powerful. Because when a person no longer feels divided between who they are and how they are seen, their presence becomes undeniable. They don't need to convince anyone. They simply exist, and that existence speaks. So when the screen fades, when the clip ends, when the photo is closed, something remains.
À qui impression?
A sense that we're watching someone step into clarity, not chasing validation, not rushing transformation, but allowing it to unfold naturally. And maybe that's the most captivating part of all. Because in that calm, confident stillness, Liu Yuning reminds us of something important. That growth doesn't always announce itself. And sometimes the most powerful changes are the ones that feel effortless. If you've stayed until this moment, thank you for listening. Stories like this aren't just about celebrities. They're about change, timing, and becoming. So take one last look, one last thought, and ask yourself, how many quiet transformations have you almost missed, simply because they didn't make any noise? Until next time, stay curious. And don't forget to notice the subtle moments. So maybe this wasn't just a haircut. Maybe it was a moment where perception caught up with reality, where the world finally saw what had always been there, just waiting for the right frame. Liu Yuning didn't change himself. He simply stepped into a clearer version of who he already was. And sometimes, that's all it takes to make people look twice. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. Backhand index pointing right, do you prefer Liu Yuning with long hair or short hair?